any questions that you have inputs or examples that you want to share, please let me know them as well.
Okay.
Just let me share my screen with you. Give me a second. I think you're able to see my screen now.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Perfect. Let's see. All right, perfect. So today we're going to start with the strategic human resource management and organization behavior. The learning outcome for today is learning outcome number 1, which is critically examine the nature and importance of strategic human resource management in an organization. So I have a question for you actually. When you talk about HR, what comes to your head or what pops up?
Yeah, actually, human resources, HR, the abbreviation of human resources. So human resources, we can explain in some words like the resource the people and deal the problem of all resource people. So inside the organization and according to company policy.
Makes sense. No, you're absolutely correct. So on that, we're going to probably elaborate a little more. And also, I'm going to link that with how strategic human resources work. So human resources and strategic human resource management is quite similar, but at the same time, there are two different functions.
Yeah.
Human resources, you mentioned that there are people in the organization that help, in the proper flow or functioning of the organization, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So human resource management can also be called basically someone who coordinates, manages the employees, organizes events, and also how in an organization it pushes the people or basically the associates that are working in an organization. It pushes them to do better so that the employees basically can meet the end goals, or every organization has a different vision or mission statement, and every organization has a separate set of goals as well. So essentially a body or basically a set of people who push the other people in an organization to do better can be called as human resource, the human resource team essentially. Perfect. So when we talk about, so this is what we were mentioning, right? How HR or how such people push everyone else in the organization. So they link their goals with the organization goals. So what HR does is they come up with different strategic plans. They come up with a different approach to management essentially, so that they can link associates towards the goals that the organization already has thought about. If I give you a very simple example, if there's an organization that has thought about switching towards artificial intelligence in the next 3 years, so maybe some of the goals that human resource managers will put for strategic plans would be hiring more people who are really good with using different AI softwares, so that they can basically integrate that in the organization, right? So as an HR person, the goal would be hiring more AI people. As an organization's goal is working towards AI. So basically, HR might also keep the existing associates that are already there in the organization, how to push them towards AI. So maybe they would give new trainings on the portal. There's an employee portal usually. They might put a training that, AI for work or how to integrate this new system inside our workflow, some new trainings like that, so that people basically in the organization, the associates working, are also exposed to what the organization goals are and move towards it. At the same time, they're hiring new people so they can help to push the organization towards their goals as well. That's just one example that, very simple, that HR management does. And there are different features inside human resource management. So as we mentioned, there are so many things that HR actually has to do. So there's the strategic human resource management, there's coherent human resource management. So every meaning is different. So strategic means basically having the business's goals and HR goals to align. so that they work towards one common goal, and the strategies are basically one common strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coherent HR, on the other hand, is essentially how they can mutually support each other and be on consensus with basically the organization's policy. Everyone should accept that. For example, if the policy is having a strict dress code policy, everyone has to wear formals. So everyone has to follow that. It can't be people are coming in hoodies and pajamas for working, right? So that's
Yeah.
one of an
Yeah.
example of coherent, integrated strategies, essentially. Then we can
Yes.
talk about how committed the organization is towards its mission and vision statements or towards its
Yeah.
values. And
Yeah.
that's how they push their associates as well from an HR standpoint. Now, people are also treated as assets. So, if I talk in human resource language, essentially, all the associates that are working in an organization are the biggest assets to the company. Because if
Yeah.
they wouldn't be there, then obviously the company wouldn't exist, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why human resource managers have or put so many resources towards training their associates and towards learning and development of their associates, so that what happens is, if you just joined a company, for example, okay, you started as a graduate, you just freshly graduated, and you have joined a new company. You didn't have any previous experience. What your company does for you is it pushes you to do better every day. So you get hands on experience working in the job, but at the same time, they also assign you these trainings so that there's learning and development happening. So after 2 years down the line, once you're quite experienced, they probably can promote you within the company itself.
Yeah.
That's how you develop human capital, by you're taking your existing associate, giving them resources to do better, and after that, they can essentially follow up the ladder or climb up the ladder. So there's lesser cost that's going in hiring new people as well after 2 years. And at the same time, you have associates that have been in an organization for a longer time, so there's commitment from them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's something known as a unanitarian approach, which essentially means having unanimity between the management and the employees. For example, if the senior leaders, or what we call management over here, it's a set of 20 people who are usually the highest people in the organization, right?
Yeah.
If they feel that there should be a strict dress code policy that should be followed, the associates should be agreeing to that as well. Or for example, have you heard about paternity policies?
Sorry, what? Which policy?
Paternity.
No, 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 I did not heard. Could you please explain this?
Of course, I can give you so basically, paternity policy is a new policy that has been launched nowadays. So what organizations are doing is, you've heard of maternity policy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard maternity and paternity policy. Yeah,
Yeah,
maternity is for
exactly.
the woman
Mm-hmm.
and paternity is for the father.
Yes, exactly.
About the leave. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So if the higher management says that, there should be no paternity policy, there should be just maternity policy, okay? Basically,
Yeah,
they feel only women should get, 9, 10 months off after having a child. But the paternity policy says that men can be entitled to having 1 month off paid leave when they have a new child, right?
yeah, yeah,
So if the associates are not happy with the decision that leadership makes, then the
yeah.
company again will not work, right?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, here I just want a little explanation over you. In UK, there
Mm-hmm.
is 1 month off for the lady for this maternity policy. Sorry, for this father, 1 month leave. And here in Qatar, only 3 days. This one is
Oh,
maternity policy. Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
not good. Because so in the UK, they have started this actually just 2 years ago. What
Yeah,
fathers
yeah,
can do is, after their newborn child, still the
yeah,
child is 1 year old,
yeah,
12
yeah,
months, they can
yeah,
take 1 month leave whenever they feel. So if they
yeah.
feel that they want to take 10 days first and then the next 20 days after 6 months, they can do that as well.
Very nice.
Yeah,
I
this
really
is nice.
appreciate.
And the
Yeah.
women can take 12 months off. So 12 months
Uh,
paid leave off. The first
yeah,
9 months will be at 80% of a salary. and the rest 3 months push down to 60%. It depends on company as well. Some companies give 100% salary, some give 80%, but the minimum is required 80%.
Yes, very nice. But here only 3 days for the father, and for the mother only for 1 month.
Oh, only 1 month for the mother.
Yeah.
How can the mother come in after just having a new child for just a month?
Yeah, we don't know, because the policy is like this here. That's why UK is very good for the policy.
Yeah, UK is quite friendly like that when it comes to associates. So, but
Yeah.
also, I'm not really familiar. So obviously, correct me if I'm wrong. In Qatar, very few women work full time, right?
Yes.
Okay, maybe even that's why they have such policies, because they want women to probably be at home and like be taking care of the child instead of coming into office and working.
Yes.
Maybe that's why as well. But yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully in the future things change.
yeah, but I'm really happy about the UK policy, because this is very good policy. I really
Yeah, they've just
appreciate.
started the paternity policy just 2 years ago. So in my previous organization as well, they had launched it just when I joined, and they started with 20 days paid leave off, and then they moved it to 1 month now.
Very nice. I really like it.
That's wonderful. So then also the last bit is line managers delivering HRM. So line managers are essentially managers. So for example, if you are a new associate and you're at the low, at an analyst position, okay, you just joined the organization, you're new to the working corporate world, you have one manager above you monitoring you. Maybe that manager has been monitored by another senior manager, and so on and so forth. So those are line managers, that after every line or after every level, there is a manager who's managing those set of people as well. So those managers should also be responsible of following proper human resource practices. So for example, if the associate goes to his manager and he's like, I need a day off because my wife is going to have a kid on Friday, and maybe the manager says, you can only have half a day off because we have a lot of workload. So as a line manager, they're doing something wrong, because legally they are entitled to giving you that day off, because obviously you can't decide which day you're having a kid, right?
Yeah.
That's one of an example as well. Now, just talking about the goals of HRM, so obviously there are various different goals. It comes to giving people more opportunities so that they can grow in their career, how to attract the best talent. For example, if a company was looking to increase in AI after 3 years, how to get the best people in the market who are very familiar with an AI software, how to also get the advantage over other companies in terms of having a better human capital, and how to develop or grow our existing set of employees, or essentially giving them better training so that they have all of the resources to keep growing and keep getting better at their job. So there are various different goals of HR. Obviously, this slide just talks about a few, but there are so many various more, which, if I start listing, we probably get done with the next 2 hours. So few goals are obviously listed here, but you have a gist of what HR does now, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you have any questions at this point for me?
No, not now. When you will going to through, then I will
Perfect.
for this question.
So now there are different versions of HRM as well. So HR is usually divided into hard HR and soft HR. So these are the main two components that's divided into. So for example, after this slide, there are a few models that I'm going to talk about, HR models essentially, on how to run an organization, right? So I will also, after explaining you the entire model, I will ask you your suggestion in terms of what did you think that model was, a soft HRM approach or a hard HRM approach. You'll understand when we go through it. But now I'll explain you what hard and soft HRM means.
Yeah.
So if you think about hard HRM, what it essentially means is that set, or let me give you an organization's example. So for example, an organization is an IT organization. It's following a hard HRM approach. What happens in that IT organization is that all of the tasks are more task focused instead of employee focused. So basically, they are more task focused instead of being people focused. They don't worry about how the associates are feeling on doing a specific task. For example, if the associates have to make 1,000 changes to one website, the managers are not worried about how the associates feel doing the same task 1,000 times, but instead they want to just push the people to their target and be like, you have to complete these 1,000 tasks in the next 1 month. You don't have a choice. It's that way. So hence, it's
Yeah,
mostly a one-way communication because managers are just assigning work to you without asking how you feel, how you feel when you're doing that job.
yeah.
Does
And
that
how?
satisfy
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Sorry?
And what is the capacity of the employee? They don't care for the capacity of
Yeah,
employee and ability, and they are just pushing and about this work. You have to do this work. This is the hard.
exactly.
I think. Yeah.
Exactly. That
Okay.
exactly is hard HRM. They are not worried
Yeah.
about how it makes the employee feel. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
personally, you're happy or not, they don't care. They just want you to come inside, work for 9 hours, get all your tasks done, and then leave, come back again tomorrow. That's what they're
Yeah.
worried
Yeah.
about. So
Sure.
that's why it says it's just one-sided communication. It's not them listening to you. It's just you listening to them and doing your job.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Whereas soft HRM, on the other hand, is very different because it's more employee focused. It, worries about giving employees the empowerment to do better, giving them all of the resources to grow and personally develop themselves as well. And
Yeah.
also, it keeps into mind people's feelings and why are they passionate about a specific job. For example, I like to talk about, or I like to teach HR. So obviously, my managers recognize that, and that's why assign me to HR lectures. But at the same
Yeah.
time, if they would say that teach, IT lectures, that would mean that they're pushing me to do something I'm not comfortable with doing. But obviously, I
Yeah.
have to get that done and probably learn all of the slides about IT
Yeah.
because it was a task that was assigned.
Yeah.
But yeah, soft HR basically they're very concerned about the associates. They want, an organization which is highly trustworthy in the sense you trust your manager so well that if you have an issue while you're doing a specific task, you can easily go to your manager and tell him that, okay, I have a doubt in this and I feel I need your help. You're not
Yes.
scared to ask for help essentially.
Mm.
So that was hard and soft HR. Whereas
Yeah.
we are
Right.
going to talk about a few models today, which also have a mix of hard and soft HR approach, because obviously every organization works differently. You can't just put a model in an organization and expect the organization to work, right? Sometimes they
Yeah.
have to modify that model for it to work for specific organizations. For
Yeah.
example, an IT organization might be very strict because obviously they have so many things and workflows that they need to follow. They can't not follow it because there are data protection, so many guidelines. Whereas a marketing company might have more relaxed rules. They might work, better when associates just, can do what they want because marketing has to be coming up with fresh ideas. If they stick to specific things, they'll not work, something like that. So you have two different businesses working towards one goal, which is earning better profits, but there are different ways in which it works. IT would be more strict or hard HR versus marketing would be soft HR.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Now I'm going to move on to the different models or the systems that I was talking about. So this slide, can you see the slide or would you want me to zoom out a little? Is this better?
Yeah. 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 It's okay.
Perfect. So just going to talk about the HR systems first before moving on to the different models. So as an HR system, what we spoke about essentially is in this slide. HR does so many things. It has organization's responsibility, getting in the best talent by getting the best people. Then obviously needs to focus about the learning and development in the organization between different colleagues. It talks, HR also manages the reward side of things. So for example, if you're doing a really good job, it makes sure that you're getting a reward or, getting a little bonus after every year.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
also keeps employee relations in mind, which is basically relations between associates. So I used to work in employee relations previously, actually, and it was such a funny case that I came across. There was an associate sitting next to another one, and apparently there was one person looking into the other person's system. So that person did not like that. And he made multiple complaints to his manager, but the manager always shrugged it off, saying, it's a small issue. Why are you making a big deal? Just sit on your desk and do your job, right?
Yeah.
All the manager had to do was basically just change their seats. That was the bare minimum the manager could do. But obviously, the manager refused to do that as well. And that little small issue got so out of proportion that 3 associates had to be fired on the spot because of that. So both of them were sitting next to each other. Obviously, it's been a few weeks since they've had this issue and the manager has not been listening. So the associate started screaming in the center of the entire office in front of the other associate and trying to say that you're looking in my laptop, you're feeling I'm doing this, that, stuff like that, and started abusing him. And the other associate obviously started doing the same. So them two were obviously fired, but when they were leaving, they started mentioning how the manager did not listen. And hence the manager was fired as well in the third go, because obviously it should have done something in the start itself, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just a funny case that came to my head. Sorry about that when I read employee relations. But
Yeah, understood.
there are different ways in which HR can help in an organization, essentially.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now I'm going to talk about the matching model of HRM. And when I explain this entire model, at the end of this model, you can tell me, do you think this is hard HRM or soft HRM? All right?
Oh, okay.
Perfect. So what does matching model do is it essentially has 4 different functions it focuses on. So it focuses on selection, it focuses on appraisals and rewards, it focuses on development, and at the end, it is more worried about the performance. So this table essentially means that you get people selected, you work on performing or getting them to perform better. How do you get them to perform better? By giving them proper rewards or incentives if they're not performing better, or looking at giving them different trainings or development opportunities. Yeah. If they still don't perform better in the end, you're grading them based just on performance. And if they still don't perform better, you need to probably look at, again, a performance development plan, or essentially maybe giving them more incentive, or basically pushing them to give their best performance. Now, this basically the organization strategy and the HR practices need to be in harmony for this model to work. So what the organization wants and what the HR team wants has to be in the same consensus. Only then this will work. So essentially in this example, both the HR and organization wants their associates to perform better.
Yeah.
The only main important thing when they're looking at this model is looking at organization growth. They aren't worried about anything else. They're only worried about growing the organization and earning more profits. Essentially, based on best performance of the associates, how they can bring out the best in their associates, essentially. Is this model clear to you?
Sorry?
Is this model clear to you?
Yeah.
Perfect. So now that you know what this model is, what would you say this is a hard HR or a soft HR approach?
Yeah, this is soft because it's this one is management is giving development and rewards and then performance. They are not pushing and putting the burden on the employee's head like you have to do or like this. This one they are not getting the suggestion from the employee and what he need to do.
But over here, they are not getting any suggestions from their employee. They're just pushing them to do better by giving them more rewards, or if they can't do better, then putting them on a development plan to do better.
So they are giving rewards, but this rewards is coming in, I think, soft, not hard. But here, could you please little bit explain, because the performance management is go through, they are giving rewards, okay, for the employees.
Yeah.
So how it's come hard like this one? If they are giving chance for the development, so how this come for development is I think a soft approach for to develop the employees, not like this hard. So I couldn't understand. Could you explain more?
Of course, no problem at all. So essentially, why is this a hard HRM approach? Because what they want is they're selecting associates, then they're looking at getting the best output from them, best performance. Okay. How they're doing that is it doesn't depend. So basically, when we spoke about what hard HRM and soft HRM is, hard HRM focuses on getting the best out of people, not worrying about how that makes them feel, right? And soft HRM is focusing on employees, how they feel, what their passions are, and helping them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here, they're not helping associates. They are pushing them to get the best performance. So they're giving, if you know you are doing, for example, you have to fill forms every day. Just an example, okay? You're filling 5 forms every day. One day you fill 6 forms, and the manager looks at you and be like, you know what, you've done such a good job. I might give you a little reward for this. Why did he do that? Not because how that makes you feel, but because he knows that every time now you're going to do more than 6 forms, because you know that whenever you do this, you're going to get money, more money basically. Or if you're supposed to do 5 every day and you're just doing 4, what the manager will do is he'll tell you that you have to do 5. If you're not able to do 5, I'm going to put you on a performance management plan wherein your performance will be managed. What does performance management plan mean is essentially you have 2 months, you have a daily set of tasks which you have to do. And after 2 months, if you're not able to do that, then the company has to let you go or essentially fire you. So that's what I meant by rewards and development. And
Okay. Understood. Sorry for interrupt. Now you mentioned that this is a hard work management, hard management. Okay.
Hard HRM.
So okay, could you give me the same chart with the soft management, like performance management, rewards, development, and performance?
Of
if
course.
we go for soft, if we go for soft, so
definitely.
how we know?
So I have different models that I'm going to explain today. I have matching model, Harvard framework, David Guest model, Bath people model. So all of these models are different approaches. As I move to the next model, one of them would be an example for soft HRM as well. So you'll understand that.
Okay. This is the hard scenario.
Model, this model is a hard HRM model, basically, the matching model.
Yeah, I want to see the same scenario with soft so that I can understand better.
Perfect. So now the next model that we're going to go through is the Harvard framework. This is a soft HRM model, and I'll explain you how and why. So this model essentially has 5 different frameworks. They have the stakeholder interests, they have the situational factors, HRM policies, the outcomes, and the long-term consequences. Okay. So that model was broken down into 4 different things. Selection, rewards, development, and performance, right? This one, on the other hand, is broken down into 5 different things. What they do is that they use strategic HRM management approaches based on the organization's strategic needs, essentially. So this model looks at inside stakeholder interests. So you know what stakeholders are?
Yeah, stakeholders, we can say that the company, the working with the company with support, like investor, everything in the company is playing a role as a stakeholder. Like managers are also the stakeholder of the company.
Perfect. That is correct. Exactly. Everyone who is affected by a decision that the company makes is a stakeholder. So employees, stakeholder. Obviously, managers, stakeholder. Investors, creditors, everyone. Customers, stakeholder. So this form of HRM essentially looks at having the stakeholder interests in mind. So they look at all of these people. How is that going to impact them? For example, if the company is looking at reducing their costs by 10% next year, so they will firstly see how does that affect the stakeholders. So how does it affect the employees? Maybe few employees will have to be fired. So that will obviously affect the employees as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's just an example that I have. Then they look at the situational factors. For example, they look at all of the situations around that it would affect because of this decision that they make. For example, if they are looking at, let me just say, labor markets, yeah?
Yeah.
So as a situation, if I tell you that an organization is now looking at, not giving paternity leaves in the UK market, in the UK labor market. So that company uses such a situation, what's going to eventually happen is that there might be riots in the organization because other employees would say other businesses are doing this. This is a legal requirement by the labor market. And that would be one of a situation that they're basically trying for it to not happen in the beginning by giving them paternity leaves. So that's just one example. They're keeping in mind how the associates feel essentially by looking at situational factors. Then while making policy choices as well, they keep in mind how the employees, how they are going to be influenced. For example, if it's a call center business and all of the associates are, they like to wear relaxed clothes, they like to wear hoodies, they like to wear something that is relaxed, so that because obviously they're sitting on one place and just talking to customers, right, without their face being seen. But if the company suddenly brings out a new HR policy saying we're going to have strict dress code, everyone has to dress formal clothes, so how does that make the employees feel, or how does it influence the employees? That is a different factor they keep in mind as well. So probably in a call center organization, the employees would be really unhappy because they would say that I can do the same task sitting comfortably in, a hoodie and jeans. So why am I supposed to wear proper suit and like a formal dress when the customers aren't even seeing my face or what I'm wearing? So just an example for this. Then they also look at the outcome of what they do. So example, if they fire a few associates because they're cutting costs, are the other associates in the company going to be that committed or not? For example, if your colleagues are getting fired, in your mind, you would also put a question that, okay, maybe I'm next, so I should look for a different job from beforehand, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they keep that in mind as well in terms of the outcome or the consequences of their actions, essentially.
Yeah.
And then they look at the long-term consequences. For example, if they keep assigning you, can I ask you, what do you do for work? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I was asking, what do you do for work? Like, where do you work?
Where do I work?
Yeah. If you're happy for me to know that, then.
No, sure. I'm very happy for your any question because it's not a matter. So here I'm working in Qatar, this UCC holding. So I'm working in HR, but in labor relation.
Got it.
So I resolve the all problems of the labor regarding like leaves, medicals, injury insurance compensation,
Makes
and So I control the court cases and police cases, the meeting with the authorities. So I deal all with this type of issues for the labor concerns. Yeah.
Got it. So for this example, essentially individual well-being,
Yeah.
I can basically use your example. So you mentioned you go to court cases, deal with police cases, everything. So maybe after a point, it gets quite stressful for you as well because you're worrying about that case even when you're home. So as a long-term consequences, your company should look at how to assign you lesser cases, give you more support if you need, look after your well-being as well, essentially. Yeah. I like the job that you do, actually. It's really interesting, but must be so stressful at the same time.
Yeah, because my mostly deal it with the authorities, embassies, and like the welfare, well-being of the employees, and I'm quite happy with this one. This is a kindness as well.
Sometimes it might get so difficult as well, because I used to deal with employee well-being, and I've had few associates coming to me and crying and everything. And I feel if
Yeah,
someone cries in front of me, I just feel really, it just stays with me for days.
yeah.
So I understand it can be stressful at the same time, but I'm glad at least, you're having fun.
Yeah. But one thing is that maybe I don't know about the UK, but here in Qatar, the employer is not really offering the employees real development, like they are offering the external courses, paid courses. So to improve and develop this man. So they are just offering like LinkedIn courses for the
Oh,
staff.
makes sense.
So, yeah. So they are not giving opportunity to the
To
employees really
them,
develop and
yeah.
grow.
Yeah, exactly. We used
Yeah,
to do, I started this thing in my previous work. It was basically a 6-month mentoring program. So
yeah,
the higher leaders in the organization had
yeah,
volunteered to give, help the little mentoring team. What they did was,
yeah,
whoever wanted to develop or do better,
yeah,
those, I think we had 7 people who signed up. So those 7
yeah,
people were assigned 7 mentors, and
yeah,
every week they had like a 1 hour or half an hour catch up with them, so that their mentors could help them grow in terms of,
mm,
if they're looking at going to be a manager
mm,
after 2 years, so how can they do that, what all
yeah,
skills they, so sometimes it's not just about trainings, it's about transferable skills as well. Maybe
yeah,
some
yeah,
people are better with just getting task assigned and doing it, whereas some people are more better with assigning tasks to other people. So
yeah,
mentors usually help to even recognize that.
yeah,
So in the UK, we have a mix or blend of many things. They have trainings, they have mentoring programs, they have diversity and inclusion plans, because we have people coming in from so many diverse communities. It gets
mhm,
difficult sometimes for them to function together. So we have
yeah,
plans in place for that as well.
yeah,
We look at many things essentially. But yeah, coming back to the third model that we're going to discuss today. So yeah, do you
yeah.
understand why is the Harvard model a soft HRM approach?
Uh, yeah, I understand, but here HRM policy.
Uh-huh.
HRM policy is not like this one. Is this is very strict policy, and we need to follow obviously. And they don't care what the employee have suggestion or what they think. This is by top management, and what they write we need to follow. So how it come with the soft HRM? So this is
So,
I need to know.
okay. So in the Harvard framework, essentially, in this model, when they talk about HR policies, it doesn't work like the management basically decides and the people have to follow. For
Yeah,
example, my previous company used to use the Harvard framework. What they
yeah,
did was, before launching a new policy, we had 2 policies launched newly when I had joined. One was the dress code policy and one was the maternity policy. What they
yeah,
did was, they had conducted different surveys and interviews. So surveys for employees essentially saying, would they want paternity policy to be launched? Would they want a dress code policy to be launched? So
mm,
employees essentially went on that Google form and gave their suggestions. And that's how the policy was formulated. The
Aywa.
policy was
Okay.
formulated, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay,
So that
nice.
is the approach that
Mm.
the Harvard framework is trying to explain over here. That's why it
Yeah,
says that employees' influence it's looked after, how it's going to flow looked after, how the reward and
mm,
work systems are going to work after that. For
mm,
example, if there's a new policy that says you're going to get, a 10% increase every year, so how does that reward system work? Sorry, not about
yes.
10%. Let me explain another example. For example, I worked in a previous organization, and that organization used to give the associates different points. For example, if
Yeah,
you presented a very good presentation, your manager
yeah,
will give you maybe 100 company points. What
yeah,
used to happen with that was, it was such a simple reward system, because I was rewarded for doing a good job. That was apart from my payroll, and that was also not taxed. So those 100 points would mean some value. I think it was
Yeah.
$100 essentially. And they had a
Yeah.
company portal where we could spend those $100. So, they have different Amazon vouchers, every gift card available in the market, Apple gift, every gift card was there. They had Apple products, they had Microsoft products, everything was listed there.
Yeah.
Perfumes, watches, you name it. So, and also, I think more than that, everyone in the organization knew that you got those 100 points because it's to go on a company website saying that if your manager's name was, I don't know, if you're the manager and I'm your employee, for example, so it would say on the portal that Kuram gave Arshi 100 points for doing a very outstanding performance. So that was one of a reward system that they come up with over here.
Yes.
So
Very
that's
nice.
how the policies are made as well.
It sounds good. Very nice.
Perfect. Now moving on to the third model that we're going to discuss today. This model is a blend of hard HRM and soft HRM. So it's essentially a mix of both.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, there can be few models which will have just hard HRM or few that use a mixed approach to function better in an organization. So obviously it varies from organization to organization as well in terms of which HRM approach that they want to use.
Yeah.
So this one is a mix. This is called the David Guest model, which is basically linking human resource practices with proper outcomes for associates or helping them to perform better, but also giving them the opportunities and development plans to perform better.
Yeah.
So it looks at getting commitment and motivation in the organization through good HRM practices. For example, a good HRM practice would be giving your associates proper sick days when they're sick. For example, in the UK, you're entitled to paid sick days off. You're entitled to, if I'm not wrong, 45 days in a year of paid sick leave. Obviously, no one takes 45 days completely, but in terms of emergencies, for example, some people are diagnosed with a certain illness suddenly, then obviously they can use it. But you have 45 days of, like, I was sick 2 weeks ago. I was having fever and all. So I took a day off last Thursday and that was paid. So
very
that's
nice.
good. Sorry?
Yes. Sorry to interrupt you. Here in Qatar, you are only entitled for 14 days, not like 45 days.
Okay, 14 makes sense. Over here, it's 45 days of 100% paid leave. Then it shifts to 80% for the next 45 days. And then,
Very
for
nice.
example, someone is suffering from, touch wood, but cancer, for example.
Yeah.
So then those people maybe can't come in the business, like can't come to work for an entire year. So for the entire year, they would be entitled to 66.66% of their pay.
Very nice.
Support them basically because they're going through an illness.
No, I really like these all rules, regulations in the UK.
Because sometimes, so in the UK, we have two forms. It's government entitled pay and company statutory pay. So the government says that legally, when your associate falls sick, you are entitled to give them 80% of their pay, right? But some companies or some private companies, because they want to do better for their organization or basically support their associates, some companies give 90% or even 100%.
Very nice.
So obviously there is a minimum threshold which is decided by the government, but some companies still go over that as well. Like my previous company went way and above for their associates because it was a global organization. Everyone knew about them. So they had a reputation to anyways hold. So they went beyond for their associates essentially. But yeah.
Sounds good.
So this David Guest model is a mix of both. And how to give good HRM practices. So, for example, like I gave you the example of sick leave. For example, you were sick and your company paid for, say, 40 days because you were going through something serious. You or an associate will remember that how kind that company was to them. And you will basically return it back in terms of performing better and giving good, output. So that
Yes.
is one of an approach that David Guest's model uses, using good HRM practices essentially so that it leads to hard work from their associates. So
Sure.
they have different business strategies and they put HR practices in place and they see how effective that HR practice was. And then they look at the outcomes of that HR practice that they put in place
Yes.
and how does it affect the associate and how does it make them feel in terms of giving them the commitment and flexibility to perform better. And then
Yeah.
it also focuses on productivity or basically quality of the goods and services or output of their
Mhm.
associates. So it's looking at how it's making associates feel, but at the same time, it's also worrying about the productivity or getting good outcome. That's why it's a
Yeah.
mix of both as hard as well as soft HR because
Yeah.
they are
Yeah. Yes.
stressing on financial performance, but at the same time, stressing on HR practices.
Yes.
Perfect. So this is clear as well to you. Going on Bath People's model. So this model is a soft HRM approach. Why? Because it just looks at how to get better performance, but through motivating their associates, giving their the best opportunities. They should even have the ability or the skills to even do that. For example, if I am put into an IT job, I might not know anything about IT, right? So I don't have the
Yeah.
ability or the skills to do that job. So that's why they
Yes.
focus on giving their associate proper training and development. Firstly, recruiting associates that are even able to do that job. Then giving them proper training and development, properly managing their performance, giving them, a chance to basically grow in their career. Because what do associates, all of us, okay, every employee who's working for an organization, at the end, what do they want? They want to go up in the ladder, earn more, and also get more, do better, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this model gives their associates a career opportunity chance as well as makes sure that they give them job security so that,
Mhm.
everyone is a family person, right? They're worried about, losing their job, they're worrying about money, they're worrying about so many things in mind.
Mhm.
So if you have job security, most of that is
Mhm.
out of the picture. You're not worrying about you getting fired from your job the next day. You're only worrying about doing better in your job role, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So this model essentially looks at 4 different frameworks and obviously it elaborates everything inside of it.
Yeah.
Does this make sense? Why is it soft HRM?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Perfect. Now,
One thing I just want to share with you, because I am online Moodle,
mhm,
this one Moodle. Here
yeah.
I cannot see. Here I cannot available the data for this strategic human sources management.
So basically, a few modules are not yet made available to you because you
Yeah.
just basically this unit just started. But
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
today, the team will know that the lectures have begun and you will have
Yeah. Yeah.
access to it.
Okay. Okay.
Because
Okay.
we had the first lecture today, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have, but before when I passed this level 6, so I when I log in the Moodle, I found all the lectures there, like learning outcome, units, everything.
Okay.
Maybe it's yeah.
Maybe
That's
for
why.
level 7, you have just enrolled. That's why they did that. But the team knows that we have a lecture today, so they should give you access to it by today or tomorrow, essentially.
No problem. Thank you very much. I just sorry to interrupt you. I just want to give a little information about me, which I did not give you my introduction before.
Oh, thank you.
Actually, yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I passed +2 certificates, as you know.
Okay.
So after this, I passed this level 6 diploma in business management.
Mm-hmm.
So now this is my second, because I am working in human sources. So
Yeah.
that's why I decided to proceed with level 7 in human resources. Then I will, I have thinking to proceed further with a master in HR
Oh,
from UK.
that's really
Yeah,
nice.
so
I did a
yeah,
master's in the UK as well, so they have really good programs over here.
yeah. So I need your support and guidance as this one. This credit go to Mr. Raman, because I was not able to decide either I need to study or not. But Mr. Raman encouraged me,
Yeah.
and I start with level 6 then.
That's really good. He guides many people. So he's really helpful if you're confused in terms of what you want to do. He guides you really well because he has a really good experience as well.
Yeah.
So that's why.
So I'm really happy, and your way of teaching also very good.
Oh, thank
I
you so
like
much.
this.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much Abha, for that.
So thank you for this one.
We have still a couple of slides to go through, and I am aware that the time is getting done. But if you are okay, I can take 15 more minutes and complete those slides as well.
Yeah. Okay. It's okay. You can
All right,
complete
perfect.
this one.
Perfect. Otherwise, I can push it to tomorrow if you want, because we have a lecture tomorrow from 3 to 4 as well.
Yeah. Okay. It's we can do tomorrow. And what will be the good timing for you? Because Friday and Saturday I have off day here. So if we go UK 1 p.m., so it's okay for you?
For tomorrow?
Yeah.
Just give me 1 second. I'm checking my calendar. Just give me a second.
Yeah,
Because I do
please.
have some lectures tomorrow assigned. Aren't you free on Sunday?
No. Sunday, because Sunday to Thursday, my working days, I am not free even for 5 minutes.
No problem. Just give me 1 second. I'm checking.
Yeah, please check and
So
let me know.
I think I have a lecture from 11 to 12. I should be, 1 second. Let me check again before I commit to you. 9 to 10. Just check over here. I have one lecture at 10 to 11 and then 11:30 to 12:30. So I am free between 1 to 2. If you want me to change that, this is the lecture that we are going to held tomorrow.
One
Level
to 2.
1 to 2 UK time. Is that fine with you?
Yeah, very fine.
Because it's 3 to 4 UK time right now. So we can change
Yeah.
that to 1 to 2.
1 to 2, it's very good.
Perfect. Would that be okay for the next week as well?
Yeah, sure. 1 to
All
2 is
right.
very okay. Yeah.
Perfect. So I will send a changed timing across for tomorrow and for the next week as well. So next week we have 1 second, a lecture on Friday and Saturday again from 3 to 4. So I'll change even those to 1 to 2. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Khurram, is it okay with you? Just I'll take 10 minutes and I'll finish the learning outcome number 1. So tomorrow we can start with learning outcome number 2.
Okay, it's up to you. If you want 10 minutes, it's up to you. If you want tomorrow, it's okay for me. No problem.
I think I'll just finish in the next 10 minutes because the next slides, they don't have a lot of information. They're just quite easy and crisp to understand. So you'll get a better idea.
Okay, please proceed.
Perfect. So this slide just talks about what we spoke in this Bath People and Performance. I told you how or what functions of HR do they use. So this slide explains how do they basically keep in mind that employees are doing better. So, they look at having high performance work practices from the beginning, and they also give their associates flexible working arrangements. For example, in the UK, they have a law that when you start, the first day of the job, you can let us know what your flexible working arrangement would look like. For example, if on Wednesday and Thursday, you need to go and pick up your kid at 3 p.m., fair enough. You can work from home the rest 2 hours between 3 to 5. That's a flexible working arrangement that we agreed on, basically. Yeah. So that way they come up with new policies to support their associates. I'm talking about this model, how they help their associates. And that's a few things that they do. They give you a clear vision and values, what you need to work on, have a positive atmosphere, look at the policies by having a good workplace as well, not just push the policies on their associates, but also create a good environment for them to have, them policies implemented. Yes. And also manage all the change effectively. So there are a few things that they can do so that they have a positive impact on the performance as well. Moving on, it just speaks about the role of the HR function, which we have been talking about already. So we have, how an environment or organization, it pushes people to do better. and help them to realize their potential by having different learning and development opportunities, by having a diverse and inclusive atmosphere from the start. So that is
Yeah.
few functions or roles of HR, which we have been discussing on the top already.
Yeah.
Now it talks about different roles that HR professionals can have. So for example, we have something called as HR business partner, HR strategist, HR internal consultant, HR monitoring. So what all this means is, for example, a HR business partner, okay? A business partner is someone who is assigned to a specific section in an organization. I'll give you a very simple example that will explain it to you. For example, if you have a global organization that's really huge, that organization will have different departments. They might have a marketing department, a sales department, a finance department, so on and so forth. Now, what the HR people do in such a case is they assign one person to every department. So that person is essentially the HR business partner for example, for just the finance team, there is one HR business partner. Like I was the HR business partner for my finance team in my previous job. Why was that? Because I have a degree or a bachelor's in finance, and then I have a master's in human resource management. So that gives me the skills to understand what the goals of the finance teams are. At the same time, I have the HR experience to give them proper HR guidance and support.
Mhm.
Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Perfect. So how we have the HR business partner, we have different roles within HR that can be monitored or done. This explains that. So strategist is basically someone who is working on the issues that have been going on and coming up with new plans or strategies to overcome those issues. An innovator, an HR innovator would be someone who develops new strategies or new approaches so that people can be managed better. For example, in the lockdown, it was so difficult to manage so many associates because some people were just keeping their laptops open and leaving their system. They weren't working.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
companies came up with new innovations in terms of they had new softwares built in the laptop that they can monitor or track if their associates are doing the job. Or, my company had something known as desk yoga because everyone was sitting from home. So once a week for half an hour, they had these desk yoga sessions. So we used to sit on our desk and they used to show us how to do some stretches sitting on our chair.
Yeah.
So, in different ways are called innovators. Then internal consultants are usually analysts who diagnose problems and, are more good at Excel. Whereas monitoring the issues are basically the policies are properly implemented or not. So those are the people that look at implementing the policies and if it's working well or not. Like my previous organization, they conducted interviews with associates. So they picked handful, probably 20 associates every 1 month, and they interviewed them. How are you feeling about your job? Would you like something to change? And it was very it was not shared with everyone because they knew that information was sensitive, but they did implement the few things, kept the associates anonymous and then implemented it. For example, if someone said I need changes to the sales team because it doesn't work, so they would obviously implement it slowly but keeping that suggestion in mind.
Okay.
Now I'm just going to talk about the organization of the HR function, which is the 3-leg stool, which essentially means that complex and large businesses are the ones that implement this. Why? Because they need someone, like I mentioned, the HR business partners previously. Why did I explain that in depth was because this 3-leg stool essentially explains that. It talks about how they have the experience. For example, in my case, I have finance experience because I've worked in a finance team previously and I have a degree in finance. But how can I be a partner or a business partner is because I have a master's in human resources, which makes me the ideal candidate for being a business partner for the finance team. And that's how I share my services with them. That I am working in HR, they are a finance team, but we have a shared goal, or we basically put our efforts towards one goal, like a shared help desk. so that whenever you ask anything to me regarding the finance team, I'll still be aware of that because they have shared their plans with me.
Yeah.
So bigger organizations usually have this.
Yeah.
Now, these are just some basic slides which is talking about a business partner concept. So I already explained you what the HR business partners are, right?
Okay.
So this is the concept that they're talking about. You know, how it is so efficient and cost efficient as well. Just few ideas. Now, there are different HR strategic roles that we already spoke. We spoke about how it's important to integrate the HR strategies, how it contributes towards developing the existing business goals and strategies, and then it works with the managers to basically achieve those goals.
Yeah.
So this is clear, yeah, perfect. Now, this slide talks about how HR functions are evaluated. So we don't have to probably go in depth over here because it just talks about basic things, what HR function does,
Yes.
how they can contribute. So we spoke about how they do it. They work towards the organization goals, better, strategic plans coming in, and they focused on that. They look at, stakeholders as well in mind. Then the organization criteria, basically having their associates as assets that we already covered up, and how per employee is basically important to the organization because it's a cost that the business has.
Yeah.
Then we spoke about employee behavior by talking about how different models affect employees, and also basically, how to have the best employees in the business, how to retain and attract better talent, how to reduce turnover rates. So we discussed that in the previous slide. And then they talk about how HR function is service level criteria. So this explains how our resources for HR functions are used. So for example, why do they say recruiting is so difficult? Because one vacancy probably takes 1 or 2 weeks to fill, and there's so much manpower that's required. Because if you post a job, for example, there might be 50, 60 candidates over there. We might have to sort CV out. After that, we probably have the best 5 CVs in hand, and interviewing 5 different candidates is time consuming as well. After interviewing all of them, deciding who is going to be the best fit is another task. So that's why there's a lot of resources that go into every HR function that's been used. So again, these are just some basic bits on how they explain that, how they can ensure that HR works effectively. These are some basic bits that we already know. We need to be clear on what to achieve. We need to ensure that, we just keep things simple, don't rush. We do one task at a time. We make sure that we have the requirements and costs that we need already beforehand approved. So these are some few basic bits that they're talking about. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's okay.
Perfect. So again, this comes back to how strategic HRM is implemented. We already spoke about what strategic HRM is, and also spoke basically how it implements the organization goals with the HR strategies and integrates them.
Yeah.
We already spoke about the models that were there inside strategic HRM. We spoke about the different models already. So it again, I think few slides are just explaining the similar things.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the strategic role of HR specialists? Again, we spoke about as a HR person, how we can add value and what all we can do.
Yeah.
And how HR strategies are basically integrated with terms of overall performance and specified to organization's performance. They're quite slides. I think we're done, Khurram. We've covered all of it. There's some basic HR, some just bits that they've taken from different websites. So don't worry about it. But yeah, obviously, if you have any doubts, go through the presentation yourself as well. And if you feel you want to ask me something, you can please feel free to, literally you can question me. If you have my WhatsApp already, or you can also send an email out. So I'm happy to help you then.
Yeah, okay. But I need these slides in my model system.
Yeah, so what I'll do is that I think the IT team would already know that you have just enrolled today, so you will have access to Moodle probably in the next few hours. But I will still
Yeah.
drop in a reminder to them so that they're aware that you want access to it.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very
Perfect.
much.
No problem at all. So for tomorrow's session, I'll meet you at 1 and I will ask my basically who's in charge of scheduling. I'll ask him to just send you a fresh link across so you have, or maybe actually Kuram, it will work from the same link, but he'll still send you a message on WhatsApp confirming that the timing has been changed.
Okay, okay. 1 to
Perfect.
2, sure?
Yeah, 1 to 2, done.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time today. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.